too soon. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for our servicemen and women throughout the world, and for those who have passed away in our community, especially Leo D'Angelo, Richard Leonori, Ned Clark. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Dr. Rothchild? Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Smurl?
Here.
I would like to make a motion to take from the table resolution number 61 of 2024.
There is a motion on the floor and a
Wait,
second. Oh, I'm sorry.
Someone has a second.
Yeah.
Second.
There is a motion on the floor and a second to take from the table resolution number 61, 2024, and place it into seventh order for a final vote. This resolution is an agreement with Woodland Design Associates for city planning and zoning professional services. Anyone who would like to speak on this piece of legislation may do so in fourth order during citizens' participation. On the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved. The administration has requested City Council withdraw Resolution 5B on tonight's agenda. That resolution will not be introduced, and the project will be rebid next month. Dispense of the minutes.
Third order, 3A, Controller's Report for the month ending June 30th, 2024. 3B, minutes of the Scranton Firefighters Pension Commission meeting held June 12, 2024. 3C, agenda for the non-uniform Municipal Pension Board meeting held July 17, 2024. 3D, minutes of the non-uniform Municipal Pension Board meeting held June 12, 2024. 3E, minutes of the Composite Pension Board meeting held June 12, 2024. 3F, Lackawanna County Planning Commission Subdivision and Land Development Evaluation Report received July 18, 2024. 3G, Overtime Report for all departments as provided by City Controller received July 17, 2024.
Are there any comments on any of the third order items?
Yes, I have three comments. So when we're looking at 3A, there was $1,041 to the BMI Music Group for Parks and Rec professional services. Mr. Voldenberg, if we could just ask the question as to what that money is going towards.
I will, sir.
Thank you very much. When we're looking at 3B, I know that some appointees from the fire department have been sent over to the pension board. Can we get an answer as to when they're going to appoint, when the mayor is going to appoint that individual to the board?
No, we haven't. I'll follow up.
Thank you. And then last thing to point out, item 3G, 96% of the Parks and Rec overtime budget has been spent up until this point in time. And that's all, Mr. Smurl.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have any announcements at this time? All good. Okay.
Fourth order, citizen participation.
First, Joan Hodawanis.
Joan Hodawanis, Scranton. In our collective bargaining agreements, the firefighters' contract is now out 477 days, police 361 days. I saw that Mr. Uffberg picked up a nifty $44,000 last month. That was in the controller's report. And 7T, the collective bargaining agreement for the clerical union. You may note that under financial impact, the legislative cover sheet says none. And how many people are in the clerical union? Did you ever find out?
They did tell me 57.
Yes, 57. So that's $114,000 to pay them for going back to January 1st of this year, which is not necessarily a terrible problem when you look at the controller's report and you see that the contingency fund still has $600,000. But it's something that should have been in there in the legislative sheet. That was easy to put down. Because it's already affecting this year's budget. So to say financial impact, none, hey, I can do the math and so can they. So the residency requirement, did you have an executive session on that yet?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and can you, they have on their financial impact, none. Does that mean that anybody who moves outside the city limits is going to pay the wage tax?
I did not discuss that this evening.
Okay, well, somebody should ask that, because that would be a financial impact, because those that currently have waivers, do they not pay wage tax?
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Some.
So I'd like some clarification on that. Tonight's legislation, you have 4 MOUs: Lindy Creek, City Hall, stormwater improvements, and the pedestrian crosswalk repairs for 3 intersections, which, ARPA funding, I understand. My only comment on that is I do hope that somebody takes a look at long-term maintenance requirements, that we don't invest in projects like this and then let them crumble over the years and not maintain them. Kind of like the pedestrian buttons in the downtown. They look fine on paper, but it takes a commitment on the part of the city to maintain them long term. 5C, the safety improvements for hearing and sight impaired at 3 intersections. What's this business of the deadline? They have under other notes that the deadline was July 12th at 5 p.m. I got kind of lost at that point reading the backup. Does that mean we missed the deadline, or this is urgent, or what? So if you could explain that in 5th order. The 5D, the Stafford Meadowbrook watershed restoration. Also in the notes there, it says about what is the total estimate? It is higher than the amount that can be requested. I got lost there too. Can you explain that on the legislative cover sheet? And exactly why are we removing the legislation on the retaining wall, 5B?
The engineer, our city engineer, found something that wasn't correct in the bidding.
Okay, that makes sense. So you have one more session next week, and then you're off for August.
Yes.
Are we still on track with the audit?
Yes.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you. Bob Bolus?
Good evening, Consul. Bob Bola, Scranton. No, it's a sad day in our city right now that a cowardly chicken Delawarean, former 9-year-old Scrantonian, walks away, and we're being insulted. Biden insults us every day by saying Scranton. There are no cowards in Scranton. There are no politicians in this city that ever quit. They'll stay in it to the day they die, no matter what. He's disenfranchised all those that voted for the coward, both Republican and Democrats. The Consul's duty is to respect our wishes, and our wishes are today that the Biden signs be removed from this city. from Interstate 81, the expressway. We're being embarrassed by him even mentioning Scranton. We had presidents in wheelchairs, mentally or whatever, that still went to the end. No matter what, they didn't quit. But a Delawarian, he quit, and he mentioned Scranton all the time. I'm disappointed with the mayor that's praising him in front of his old house where he was born. Why doesn't she praise his record, what he didn't do for the city of Scranton? But he sure in hell did everything for Delaware. Joe Biden is not a Scrantonian. He's an absolute disgrace that he walked away what he's doing and keeps mentioning Scranton. And my message to him is, Joe, don't mention Scranton. We don't believe in you. We want nothing to do with you. We only want a leader, and you're not a leader. You're chickened out and you ran. And that's not what we're about. Scranton, Tonians, and you guys have been around a long time. I'm here 81 years. Are fighters. No matter what it is, we always came to the aid to help whoever, whatever, wherever it was, including our legislators that were here, good, bad, or indifferent, but they never quit. And for him to walk away sucks. I mean, the mayor wanted to have my trailers towed out here when I had them for Trump, but she wasn't successful. Those trailers were here for a purpose. And the one that we had out and were disgraced in Butler, the idiot cop climbs the roof without a weapon in his hand. It's the story of the Keystone Cops. And then the director said, oh, we didn't have enough people. What the hell was everybody else doing walking around there taking pictures of this guy? Trump could have been dead, but more importantly, the sad part is a fireman died saving his family. And that's a tragedy. 2 other people are wounded because of incompetence. Everyone that was there that allowed this to happen and disgrace all of us in the United States as Americans should be fired. Not this one or that one, clean sweep, because you were very incompetent. You didn't do your damn job. You're carrying a gun and a badge, you're there to use it, and none of them did. Yet they have plenty of time to do their job. I give credit to the governor for having the flags drop to half-mast in honor of the firefighter that died. That's what we're about. Joe Biden isn't about us. Joe Biden's about him. And now he wants Kamala in there so that she could pardon Hunter and possibly him. This is an absolute joke. But the thing about it is Obama isn't supporting her because he owns and controls Joe Biden, because it's been Obama's administrative policies that we've watched Biden utilize and put in place. This is what disgraced all of us. I just still didn't see the Ukraine flag or the Israeli flags. Are we that chicken cowardly in this city we can't represent the people that are being butchered and murdered? I paid for them. The least you guys could stand up for what's right and put the flags up where the hell they belong. Thank you. Honor us as Scrantonians, because we are Scrantonians. We're not Joe Biden's breed. Remember that.
Lee Morgan?
Good evening, Council. Lee Morgan. I'd just like to bring the residents of the city up to date on the actions that I filed in federal court. ECTV wanted to be excused from litigation, so I had to file an amended complaint with the federal court. I don't know if the federal court thought that I'd just walk away, because my complaint was really on firm ground, but I don't know what Judge Bloom was thinking, so I amended my complaint I don't think ECTV or the city or any of the parties should be allowed to walk away. I think this is a very legitimate case. I think the judge is going to see that it's a legitimate case. I don't think people hire outside legal teams to deal with illegitimate claims. And I think they thought this was going to be just quickly brushed away, but that hasn't happened. And I think that the Scrantonians need to realize that you have to be honest with yourself as Scrantonians. You've been quitters for a long time. I listened to Mr. Bullis stand here at the podium and speak, and I disagree with many things he said here today. The one thing I disagree with the most is that for 30 years, we were in distress. Chris Doherty torpedoed this city and almost destroyed it. And yet we built the park in the downtown Scranton to honor him. It's ridiculous. We have so many problems in this city, and we're confronted with a council that's unprepared to make the changes necessary to turn this city around. And they're not the first council that hasn't been able to do that. There's been many. Some were elected as state reps. Some went out and, talked a good game. We had a former councilman here that got elected mayor and ended up going to jail for public corruption, but he didn't get charged with the crimes he really should have been charged with. So we really haven't been well represented by the courts or the district attorney or federal law enforcement. We've been just cut out to spin in the wind. And it's been a terrible, tragic situation for the city as its population continues to decline. I remember when Chris Doherty was mayor, he put up all these silly little signs saying, "Restore the pride." And you'd think that all the residents in Scranton were drinking magic Kool-Aid. As he built parking garages we couldn't pay for, looted the city's pension plan. I mean, the list goes on and on. Millions and millions of dollars spent at Naog Park. Street sweeper and a paving machine. Paving machine just left out to weather and scrapped. And you take a look at the grant money that you're spreading around here and the laws you're creating. Now, I have a second federal lawsuit coming because I told Mr. Smurl and this council that I was going to deal with the Department of Licensing and Inspection, so I filed something there. They're the next group that I'm going to deal with. And the tragic thing is, I don't think that your quality of life ordinances are constitutional. And I know for an absolute fact that, I had District Justice Farrell go out of her mind until my stenographer showed up and I explained to her that what the city did with their ticket, and I'm going to be going to motions court soon to get a hearing to deal with an appeal I have there. And I just find it so troubling with all the corruption that you had in licensing and inspections that the person who brought that issue to the city had to move outside the city and the council members wouldn't deal with it, and neither would the mayor. And I just think that when that gets to federal court, and I see your thing here, no handouts. I don't know. I think when I walk up there and serve you, I don't think that'll be a problem. But, what are you going to say to a federal judge when the judge says, here's your home rule charter, and these are the rights and responsibilities of a council member, and you let all this corruption here just fester and do nothing and get enraged when somebody will bring up that you aren't following the very laws you created? It's the most troubling thing. But then as Americans, we're used to political corruption. Thank you.
Amy Cusick?
Good evening, Council. My name is Amy Cusick. I am from West Scranton, president and founder of Christmas Miracles from Heaven. As you guys know, we have been working tirelessly and diligently at the Washburn Street Cemetery. First and foremost, I want to give special thanks to Mr. McAndrew, Mr. Schuster, and President Smurl for all of your help during this time. I just wanted to give you guys an update. We are making very good progress, but we are getting into the tougher areas of the cemetery. We're getting into more higher grass areas. We're getting into the tougher brush part. There's a lot of trees that are down that we need to get cut up. We definitely need more equipment, so if anybody can give us a hand with more equipment, we'll gladly take that. Trash removal is now becoming a problem because we are picking up the trash that just was left there in the high grass, and the trash dump is now getting overloaded. We are also looking, since now the grass is being cut down, we are finding a lot of portion of the stones are now down, so we need to find some people to come in and hopefully upright these stones. Our goal is to also get some gravel for the roadway. There is really bad divots in the road, and if you don't watch it, especially if you're going through there in the rainstorm, you will bottom out your vehicle if it's not a truck. Also, we have encountered numerous sunken graves at the cemetery, numerous, and some of these are veterans. So we'll also be looking for some topsoil so we can fill in those graves, so that it's not only just a safety hazard for those visiting their loved ones, but also to give those buried in the cemetery the proper dignity that they deserve. While at the cemetery on Saturday, I drove around and was just taking a glance of where we stand, and I noticed that the flag that is on the huge flagpole in the veterans section is now missing. No idea where that went to. It was there 3 weeks ago, and now it's missing. So if we can get a flag to put back there, I would greatly appreciate that. And again, to honor those veterans who fought every day for you and I. While cleaning back some of the tough trees, we also found stones that have graffiti on them. So that is very heartbreaking as well. So I would love to see what we can do to try to remove the graffiti from some of those stones. I also want to give a shout out to the Scranton community. Without their support, their tirelessly hours of volunteer times, this would not be possible. We would not be able to get as far as we have and done as much as we can. Today, there was a post on Facebook. Someone was telling us how great of a job that us and our volunteers are doing. And I commend my volunteers. They are working tirelessly. But they asked me, why is it up to the volunteers? What is the city doing? I encouraged them to come here and to ask you that in person. But here I am asking you once again, what is happening with the Washburn Street Cemetery? I will tell you this, Council, that as long as I am here, and as long as Christmas miracles are here from heaven, Washburn Street Cemetery will no longer be abandoned and will no longer be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you. As far as the city, they were cited, it was cited. The citation, if it's not paid, then goes to the magistrate, and then from there, we'll see what happens. As far as the city being involved, the actual employees of the city of Scranton equipment, that's private property. So without permission, I don't see any city equipment going on there because of liability problems.
Understandable. Just making it known for the residents. If they could help out, that'd be great.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Voldenberg.
Yes, sir.
Today there was supposed to be a follow-up inspection from code enforcement over at the cemetery. I don't think we've gotten anything back yet, so could we just follow up on that to see what occurred or what actions were taken today, and to let code enforcement know that a lot of work was done by the volunteers and none of that work was done by the owner of the cemetery?
I'll follow up in the morning, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Thomas?
It's a long walk up here when everyone's looking at you. I'm Scott Thomas, CEO of the Scranton Public Library, and want to first of all thank you for the authority appointments we're getting. And I want to announce, too, that, what time is it? in 6 minutes, the Nancy K. Holmes branch in Green Ridge will be closing. Normally, closing a branch is a bad thing, but it'll be reopening in November because it's being renovated, and we're renovating it for accessibility and for energy efficiency. It's going to have a new entrance with the handicap ramp and a new restroom that's ADA compliant and new flooring and new lighting and new windows. That is a $700,000 project that is paid for, half of it from a Keystone grant for library facilities. That's a state grant, and the rest of it was matching that we got through fundraising and grants. And just want to let everyone know that while it's closed for these couple of months for good reasons, people can still get service at the Albright Memorial Library and the Lackawanna County Children's Library right up there, and even home delivery. We'll have materials sent to your home, and our staff is going to be in the community around Green Ridge, places like the YMCA and the Dunmore Community Center and some of the schools, to provide services and programs there, just to keep out the community there. So I just want to let you know about that, and thank you for the authority appointments again.
Thank you. That is all on our sign-in list. Anyone else wish to address council?
Tom Coyne, Manuka. Good evening, council. Last week we talked about the weights and measures position. As far as I remember from past council meetings, the position was a state responsibility, but Scranton accepted it as the state reimbursed Scranton for the employee under a memorandum of understanding. So we want to remove a job that is paid for by the state for a city resident and move it to a new job that is paid by the people. So we want to take a double loss. Changing over to the charter. The residency requirement. I have mentioned prior, by what right was the offer made, or even arbitration, to violate the city charter? It seems to be referred to as an unbreakable bond. We can't enforce residency because they have the unbreakable holy union meditation, and we are powerless. In most contracts, there's something called a severability clause. If any part, term, or provision of the agreement is held to be illegal, in conflict with law, or otherwise invalid, the remaining portion of that agreement shall be considered in effect, but that part is severable and is not affected by the termination. The rights and obligation of parties shall be construed as enforced as if the agreement did not contain the particular part, term, or provision held to be illegal or invalid. Is there a severability clause? Who knows? Because we can't see the contract, because it's not public. And we need to change it right now, like loading the boards well in advance of expiration, because there is no urgency. The false argument, well, it's okay if they pay city employee tax, but do any of you on council shop in a supermarket in Pittston? When you need hardware, do you drive to Home Depot in Wayne County? When you want a McDonald's fries, do you drive to Clark Summit? The idea of living in Scranton was not from a distressed city government, but a distressed population. This spawned the requirement to work in Scranton. Those granted the honor, benefits, retirement, and increased wage that so many do not enjoy. Most city employees go well beyond the city's standards of living. Residency was a concept of fairness by the people, desiring that the people they employ should be required to support the community that pays them. The action seeks to remove people paying rent or property tax and promotes thanking of Garrity's generosity by helping government employees shop elsewhere. We have outsourced America, and we seem damn well determined to outsource Scranton. Last, I had a comment last week about President Smurl, and it seems he forgot to pay the rental fees and register the properties. I was going to leave it at that. A simple choice. He chose not to pay what was due, or there was something wrong in the city as they did not bill, properly review, or ignored certain parties. But last week in fifth order came a hushed lament. Oh, this petty thing. The president was sitting on papers to present. The issue came forth and he admitted both prior knowledge and communication with the council's attorney months prior, and eventually admitted to concealing the issue of hundreds of other city constituents who had the same problem. Not once was it publicly addressed, nor has anyone been called forth who is responsible for this action. It is startling when council president, when directly involved and impacted, why he would seek to conceal this petty thing on multiple cases of administrative harm. If it had been hundreds of other people as stated who caused it, what punishment has been handed out, and why the intentional silence until you were dragged into the light? Good evening.
Anyone else?
Hey, listen, right? Let me practice. What's up, Gerald? Let me practice my First Amendment right, which is the freedom of speech, right? And I don't want to be cut off respectfully. I don't want to be told about my tone. Let me voice my frustrations with this community. I just fought off 2 men by myself at the pavilion, where I've been telling you guys to send police, have a police presence there. If you pull up the records, you pull up the videos, you'll see me saying this in a brown sweater. I was telling you to send police presence down there. You understand? I should not have to go down there and have to police these people myself, or be the, hold on, Gerald.
You can't scream, though.
I'm not trying to, but I'm upset.
Okay, I
I'm upset, man.
understand
Let
that.
me voice my frustrations, please. I'm not yelling at nobody.
But you're too loud.
Excuse me. If I've learned myself, the closer I get to this mic, the more distorted I get. So when you get close and you're real loud like that, I can't understand it because it gets muffled. That's all I'm telling you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I should not have to be down here fighting the community by myself. I get up here and I defend each and every one of you up here at the council. Each and every one of you against the people in the crowd who has something to say about you. So if I could defend all of you guys should defend me when I'm on the streets trying to clean up the community for our children. I'm out here literally putting my life on the line. There's people out here talking about robbing me, killing me. All of this, excuse me, S-H-I-T, because I want to help the children. If I have to go down there and fight again because our police is not policing the community, God damn it, I'll do it again.
All right, you're finished, Anthony.
I will do it again.
You're finished.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Dave Dobson, resident, taxes paid. You know, I was on the Harrison Avenue Bridge a couple of days ago. I go across it quite often, and if you look at the walls, the pedestrian walls, there's big cracks in it. There's cracks forming in it. So I think it's about time we look into that before they become a little more serious than just some cracks. They need to be sealed or whatever. And that's a shame. That's a brand new bridge. So I don't know who did what, but not good.
Mr. Dobson, last week I had asked that we get PennDOT over there because of the graffiti that was on there. I wasn't I asked for PennDOT to go over there because of the graffiti, but I wasn't aware of the
Yeah,
crack, so we
yeah.
can add that to our
Yeah,
request for them.
There's some cracks right in the wall, the pedestrian wall, where if it wasn't there, you'd fall over the side. But they're not real big cracks, but that bridge is, what, 10 years old maybe? Maybe it's not. I don't remember that far back, but not dates anyway. And 6A, this residency, I get a little concerned about that. I don't want a whole bunch of people from Moscow or Montvale or Waverly working in our town and taking a change home. That's a little much. I don't know what could be done about it, but, you know, it's, and on pension losses, you know, on 2 times we have recently, within a year or so ago, experienced some damage to the pension, and many years ago it was like $26 million to firemen and police. And the thing about it was probably a couple of weeks ago or months ago, I picked up the paper and the crypto coin had returned all the money plus the profit, but they didn't return anything to the pension plans. I mean, come on. You know, like, who's in charge of it? And it's really a shame. I hope that November works out pretty well, because I'd like to thank all the people that pushed certain people. We had a recent, Joe Biden was brought up this week. Well, you know, there were 28 lies or total mistruths in that debate, and everybody just bounced on Joe Biden and bounced on Joe Biden. And even the liberal networks bounced on Joe Biden, CNN, MSNBC. To have 4 or 5 editorialists preaching about Joe. You know, he's losing it. He's not what he used to be. And I don't see how he could have been anything else with everybody in the country pouncing on him like that. So that being said, I'll run with what we have, and but it gets to the point where you almost get tempted to go independent and let them think that you're not going to vote for them so they behave themselves for a change. Or you could switch back when the next year, so you can vote for mayor or whatever. We have foundations like the Heritage Foundation. They're a nonprofit, 501c3. They get $1.5 billion donated from a billionaire just to make trouble. They pay our Supreme Court Justice's wife, Jenny Thomas, $125,000 every 3 months. They send them on $500,000 yacht cruises of Indonesia. So, and sorry for the attempt, but don't beat up on a Democrat. Beat yourselves up. Guy was a registered Republican. Have a good night.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Mark Margavage. I have 2 ordinances I was looking for some clarity on. If I don't know if you guys could access it there, up there quick, on your laptops, or no? Could you guys look at the ordinances, or do you want me to bring them up? I could bring them up to you, Mr. Smurl. And
Give it to Kathy. She can give it to us.
It's, one part is from the rental registration, the other one is from the quality of life. So I was just wondering, as you guys are looking over them, and ladies, if you could give me any clarity what you believe the quality of life violation I had highlighted, as well as some explanation on the family exemption. In the definition area, it was not explained. So if you could tell me what it qualifies for a family exemption as well.
Are you saying that you were issued a quality of life citation?
No, I wanted clarity on what quality of life number 21 is, and also the explanation of the family exemption. Who is that?
Once they're finished,
Okay.
record it, and then I'll get an answer.
Are we going to do that on record, or would we do that on record?
I'll have your answer for next week.
Oh, for next week? Okay, all right. Well, I'll just come back then there in fourth order. We could talk about it then if you want. And lastly, the investigation that was done to the Licensing and Inspections Department. When that investigation was done, was it just a questionnaire of the employees, or was it actually, did the person actually do an investigation? Being that you guys...
There was a complete investigation done by an attorney who spoke with all the individuals involved.
So just a questionnaire, though?
No, he met with them and had a conversation that lasted a period of time as long as he felt he had
Just
questions.
conversations, though? Okay. I just wanted to see if there's actually an investigation done.
Well, that's typically how an investigation is done. You ask questions.
That's it? Okay. Okay. All right.
Do you want this back?
No. I just wanted to just show that. All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
We know what you're talking about, though, up at the lookout.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
You may have a nice picture of the council, the McAndrew before.
Okay, Marie Schumacher, city person. What was going down was a picture of a part of the lookout on the Scranton-Pocono Highway. Mr. King talked about it not too long ago, and I don't know, maybe it just encouraged people to come out and destroy it. It is just, as you could see, and I'll stay and show the other two there, it is a mess. And something needs to be done. I don't know what it is, but I would think there could be a television put there so that somebody in the city could look at it and see who's doing it, what they're using to destroy it. And I say something has to be done. That is a really big thing for the city. And so I hope next week you'll have something to tell us how that can be, I guess policed is a better word.
Is there graffiti again, Marie, or is it just garbage?
No, somebody has taken something and taken the stones out around the top and.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe we've had DPW out there in the past, but Mr. Voldenberg, can we get them over there again to see what needs to be done to clean it up?
I will, Dr. Rothchild.
Maybe we could get it on a regular maintenance or monitored by Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the picture, I could see the overgrown weeds too that were there.
Yeah, but the big thing is that,
the stones removed.
those stones that make up the whatever they call it there.
We have to make that request to the police chief. So, Mr. Voldenberg, would you send a note to Chief Gerald and ask if that would be possible for a camera there?
Yeah.
I'll make that request, sir.
Okay. That's what I want. Get that back. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Council. Mike Mancini, Scranton. We are the Electric City. We have a proud history, many historical buildings, and understanding of difference between right and wrong. Our mayor doesn't get that. Her historical points are photo ops. She dims the lights to the art house and then shows up like a poorly made bed in a coat that was better suited for a scarecrow on a farm in Oregon. She couldn't put herself into a car seat to show up at the opening of the Ritz Theater. Now, come 301 days from now, May 20th, 2025, she's going to be begging for votes and begging for forgiveness. A week ago, I asked for my questions to be answered. None of them were. So I told this body, everybody watching, is going to liken the five of you to Turner Classic, The Wizard of Oz. Apparently, like those characters, the five of you in this room are fictitious. You raise your right hand, you take an oath for the people of the city of Scranton, but yet 2.5 to 3 of you check all of her boxes. Well, the rest of us have an extra set of doors in the city. If we don't check the boxes, nothing gets done. 469 days until the general election, November 4th, 2025. Now, with this police testing, there are officers in other cities. One that is Scranton strong, West Side tough, graduate of Scranton Prep, but yet he can't work here because of the testing and the fact that it's set at 70, when most cities accept it at 55. Now, I'm getting good word. The Civil Service Commission approved this with less than 3 people. All right, and if that's true, the lawsuits are endless. I guess that's going to be more money going to Ufberg. He gets paid $942 a day on average. How about crosswalks for the schools, the parks, main thoroughfares? She doesn't care about her city. She doesn't care about the safety. Last June, Wilkes-Barre set up a curfew. Seems to work, 10 o'clock. And the ones that disobey it, they get sent to community service. Seems like Luzerne County, smaller cities are doing it better than us. We should be leading by example. Instead, we're the epitome of the area. We're number 185, U.S. News and World Report for the worst looking cities in the country. Not far behind Reading, we're not far behind Allentown, we're not far behind Philadelphia. When the railway system comes through, it's going to make it much worse. When are the pools going to be open? Answer that question. Give us a day for each one. How about the residency requirement. You know, we're just catering to an expansion team. Half of her people can even vote for her. Like I said, Upberg, $942 a day. You know, I told you also to fix the roads. You have two gentlemen right here, excellent at their craft, ready to chomp at the bit. But yet, the five of you remain ineffective. History will show you either do your job effectively or be worried about 301 and 469. Let the countdown begin. This city needs each and every one of you. These roads are horrible. I told each and every one of you how to fix them. If you don't want to fix them, $1 million out of the pocket for the city of Scranton on a yearly basis. $1 saved is $1 earned. $2 million. All you have to do is address it. The utilities, it seems like each and every one of you are afraid of the utilities. 1.9% increase for the sewer authority, yet it's set at 6.4. All of you spoke in front of public about this, and I'm telling you that the rate increase is higher than that number, and yet you do nothing about it. I'm not going away. Difference is, the five of you can be replaced. History will tell what you do next. The city is looking for a change for the better, be part of the solution or be part of the problem. Good evening, Council.
Anyone else?
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Mr. King, do you have any motions or comments?
Just some comments. The Speaker mentioned tonight that President Biden did nothing for the city of Scranton. I beg to differ to the tune of $67 million in ARPA funds, which $23 million of that will be used for stormwater remediation, which has been greatly needed in this city. And those projects are all in process. We're upgrading parks. We did Oakmont. We're doing Robinson Park. We're doing Naog Park, of which the first phase of that pool will open in September of 2025. Connell Park pool is being fixed, replaced. Weston Field is going to be a skate park and a new pool down there. Small business loans and grants have gone out throughout the city. We received money for revenue loss, street paving, city hall improvements, upgraded technology, equipment for our fire and police department. So I think that President Biden did pretty well by us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Mr. Schuster, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes,
I'm sorry, Mr. King. Sorry, Mr. King.
Yes, I have a few. From last week, some of the questions that were asked of the administration, one regarding 5C, the removing of the license and inspection requirements for the commercial scales and gasoline service stations. So I wanted to make sure that we got absolute confirmation that the state's going to take over this duty, and the administration said yes. As for Scranton being the only municipality in the state that completes the weights and measures, they said Scranton was the only individual municipality listed as sealer, and all others were county-based. And they stated that with our MOU, Section 11, either party may terminate this MOA for reasons upon 60 days written notice to either party. So they're assuring us that the weights and measures piece of the city operations will be taken over by the state. I asked about the pave cut inspector because the pave cut inspector is going to be moved into the traffic division. I wasn't sure if the position was being removed altogether or if it was just changing departments. And they stated that the pave cut position has been moved to the traffic department, and the city is currently revamping the pave cut process in consultation with our city engineer. The online application form has been updated, and informal sessions have been held with PA Water and with UGI, and they're going to develop the process. But the DPW manager is currently inspecting pave cuts. Two issues, I think, as a council, and I know we're going to be going into a break as of August, but I hope to have some conversations on our fire billing process. I got another bill from an individual who got a reply from his insurance company about why they're not going to cover the bill that was sent out by the city for a fire that had occurred. So I think it's something that we do need as a council to address. And the other issue is homelessness. The Supreme Court issued where they stand on homelessness with municipalities. Wilkes-Barre has stated what their plan is going to be, at least a start of their plan. And I did notice that the mayor stated that the city of Scranton, from what I gather from the article, isn't going to be doing anything at this point, as far as I could see. So I'd like council to start to discuss what we're going to do in terms of our municipality and homelessness. Any other comments I'll reserve for on the question, and that's all, Mr. Smurl.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Dr. Rothchild, do you have any motions or comments?
I just have a comment that, it may have been brought up earlier, but just wanted to mention the passing of Richard Leonori. He was a friend. He was 73 years old and a very talented architect, and had worked in the past with Marywood University, the Lackawanna Historical Society. He was on our HARB and the former chairman, as was mentioned earlier in our caucus. And I just wanted to give my thoughts and prayers with his husband, his longtime husband, Eddie Smith, and their family. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rothchild. Mr. McAndrew, do you have any motions or comments?
A couple comments. So last week I brought up, because in 7F, we're reallocating funds for crosswalks. And I asked for a schedule and a list. We got a lengthy list. The list doesn't mean that they're going to get done, but it's the crosswalks, the amount we have in the city. So we got was, the city is developing a list of crosswalks in need of maintenance with an initial focus on heavy traffic roads near schools. So my understanding, and I hope they are, that schools are going to be a priority. So we'll keep our eye on that. And a maintenance process, because I asked for a maintenance schedule to be associated with that when they do them all. For the DPW team to develop an internal crosswalk maintenance schedule going forward. Attaches a spreadsheet, like I said, that I received, but it's huge. But I just want to make sure when they say that, it's a priority, that these crosswalks are done before school. Let's kind of hold them to it and make sure we get something in writing saying, okay, it's a priority, so when are you going to start?
I'll follow up with that question, sir.
All right, because we're going to blink and it's the school year start again. What else do I have? So, Mr. Mancini brought up about the pave cuts, and we've been talking about pave cuts in the process all summer. Probably we started in the spring. Do we have a pave cut inspector? No. Riley Associates are going to do it now. DPW is doing it. But we also touched upon the utility companies and the responsibility. And when they don't commit, or they don't, do it in a responsible way, we're supposed to go after them. It's written in the ordinance. We're supposed to get some type of money, or we're supposed to penalize them. I know you brought it up, Jess, and I don't think we got an update on that, if we're charging them or we should, or the reasons why. And we talked about the revenue we normally receive from the utilities during that process, pulling permits to do pave cuts. And we got different information every time. We heard that, well, no, we're not charging, or maybe there's some type of litigation, or maybe there's this. So could we get a follow-up on everything before we go on recess? Just a clarification on them points that we keep bringing up and we don't seem to get straight answers.
I will, sir.
Thank you, and that's all I have.
I'm sorry. If I might add, I had meant to mention before, but was thrown off in honoring Richard. For the pave cuts, I did meet with administration yesterday about it, because we all have some very valid concerns about them, and it appears that the inspections that were being done in the past, there wasn't a whole lot that was included in those inspections, that it was more about the size of the cuts, and really was not fully inclusive and comprehensive like it should have been. And I think there are a lot of changes that are needed, and I believe they have the understanding of where the concerns are and what changes need to be made so that the pave cuts are being properly inspected, and then we can better hold utility companies accountable. But it truly does seem to be related to the streets that we're getting complaints about potholes on, and that those might be the same streets that where there were utility cuts. And so, I believe with the revamping of it, whether it has to be outsourced or what, that I'm hopeful that in the future we'll be able to have better pave cut inspections and repair our roadways.
So if I could offer some comments on this as well, sorry to jump in here. I've been talking about this going back to 2020. I met with Tom Priambo, I met with the pave cut inspector at the time. Some of my fears here are, at the time, they said they were starting to develop a process. That's the same answer we got today. They're developing a process. At that point in time, I was told 1/3 had been restored, 1/3 there may not be permits, 1/3 had passed the 2-year mark. That 2-year mark is what concerns me. After 2 years, the city is responsible for the restoration of these projects. And if we were developing a process 3 to 4 years ago and it hasn't been developed yet, what are we doing to ensure that we're tracking our pave cuts? That's one thing, is tracking the pave cuts, and the other one is ensuring that they're being restored. And I don't think either of those two things are being done. So if we could ask as well, how are we tracking our pave cuts? Are 100% of them being tracked? And how are we ensuring that these projects are being restored?
I'll ask those questions, sir.
Thank you, Frank.
I agree with Councilman Schuster that we need to stay on top of this issue to make sure that that process is put in place, and that we're able to finally crack the issue.
All right, good. I have just a few comments. The first one is 702 Crown Avenue, again. I realize that code enforcement has been there many times. I know in the past 8 weeks they have been cited 6 times. The place looks like a junkyard now. There's refrigerators, appliances, there's garbage all over the place. Frank, again, I'm going to ask, go up and cite again. It is really a terrible site. It looks like a landfill. So, and I know it's an out-of-town landlord again. But I did see on the website that there is a phone number there for a property maintenance person. Perhaps we can contact that person. I don't know if they're going to pay any of these, but maybe we could do something to make them get that place cleaned up.
I will, sir. We reached out to the code enforcement manager this morning, and he's about to follow up, but I'll check on it tomorrow.
Yes, I don't know how often we can cite them, but as many times as possible, I guess. So, Attorney Gilbride, last week I had asked you to update not only my council colleagues on the rental registration that was brought up, but also the public. So if you have any response for that.
Yes, Mr. President. Before I start, though, if I could just say to the public, an executive session was held today in regard to employee matters and contract negotiations. Mr. President, in regard to the task that you ordered me to undertake last week in regard to the allegations made about your non-payment of taxes on your properties, I did reach out without having any conversations with you and spoke with the legal office of the city, specifically to Katie Kennedy, the first assistant city solicitor, and asked her to provide me with information that the administration has in regard to the status and or history of your bill payment. I was provided with an answer. The answer was such that in 2022, Mr. Smurl registered and paid for his rental properties in the former system, OpenGov, on or about June 14th of 2023. Mr. Smurl attempted to register and pay for his properties for the 2023 year, but the payment was stopped. The payment was stopped on Mr. Smurl's property because the city was transitioning to a new system/platform, Ptolemy. In 2023, the city was formally transitioned to Ptolemy for purpose of rental registrations. On or about April 24th, 2024, the city issued rental letters, one to Mr. Smurl as well as to other individuals who had also been affected by this transition. Within 2 days of you receiving that letter, you appeared at the City Hall here and made payment of your, or at least went on to the computer to make payments for the taxes and any fees that were required. As of my request, you do not have any outstanding bills or debts owed to the city. You have resolved all the matters that were brought up as a result of the transitioning of the city from OpenGov to Ptolemy. By way of background, the letter, as was stated by the city, due to a right to know inquiry, those letters went out in April of 2024, which is the letter that you received, and that within 2 days of receipt of that letter, you had paid. So all of your taxes were paid. The delay, according to the administration, was as a result of the transitioning, and that within 2 days of receiving notice that the transition had occurred and you were able to pay, you did in fact show up and pay. That's all I have.
Thank you, Attorney Gilbride. Mr. Voldenberg.
5B has been withdrawn. 5C for introduction, a resolution ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to the U.S. Department of Transportation's Smart Grant Program for up to $773,000 to be used towards the City of Scranton safety improvements for hearing and sight impaired.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5C be introduced into its proper committee.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, I was happy to see this come our way. I hope that we're successful in obtaining this grant and that the program is successful. It sounds like it's a pilot, and they've identified 3 intersections to design and use some newer technology in order to help those who are visually or hearing impaired, and I think we need more of that in the city, so I think this is a good start, and it'll be interesting to see how successful the technology is.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I remember, I think Ms. Hodawanich brought this up about the hearing impaired or blind downtown with regard to, like, downtown, the crosswalks, because that, you know, the buttons to push the lights weren't working, or not all of them are working. So, I mean, 700 grand is a lot of money. And it's only dedicated to 3 projects that really aren't downtown. So I hope there's enough money left to at least look at it down there or plan to incorporate, you know, this type of technology down there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5D for introduction, a resolution ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to the Department of Community and Economic Development for up to $300,000 to be used towards the Stafford Meadowbrook Watershed Project.
At this time, I entertain a motion 5D be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5E for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Director, to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to perform safety and infrastructure upgrades and roadway and pedestrian crosswalk repairs in and around the city of Scranton.
At this time, I entertain a motion that item 5E be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved.
5F for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Director, to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to perform stormwater improvements at various areas of interest within the city of Scranton.
At this time, entertain a motion 5F be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5G for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Director, to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to perform City Hall technology upgrades.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5G be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5H for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA Director, to obligate state and local fiscal recovery funds to perform disaster mitigation for the Lindy Creek tributary.
At this time, entertain a motion that item 5H be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Sixth order, 6A, reading by title, file to council number 27, 2024, an ordinance repealing the residency requirement for city employees.
You have heard reading by title of item 6A. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6A pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, there was much discussion raised about this last week. I was glad the Scranton Times covered this to get the word out there. They covered the fact that residency will be removed from all CBAs as those CBAs are negotiated. We had an executive session tonight which discussed some of this, some conversations that I didn't realize were happening. I'm going to stick with my vote as of last week and vote no to this. However, I think between now and 7th order, there's going to be some more information coming out. Last week, I mentioned the possibility of investing in our employees that invest in our city. I think there's a twofold reason why we would have this. One, city funds are going to those employees, and they're coming back to our city, and they're remaining in our city. Number two is that we have great city employees. We have police, we have fire, we have DPW members and employees that are living on our blocks, that are staying in our neighborhood and keeping a presence. I think two reasons why we want to keep these individuals in the city. And what I brought up is residency points. The school district does it, some other areas do it, and it's a way to invest in these employees that want to buy a house in the city and remain in the city. Something to be done at entrance exams, something to be done at promotional exams, and I think it's something that needs to be left on the table for discussion. That's all I have for tonight.
On the question, the Scranton Police Department recently had a contract ratified, and the arbitrator ruled in favor of the Scranton Police that they don't have to live in the city. Since that has happened, we've had all unions approach us with concerns that something that's called disparate treatment, so that if one class of employees isn't required to live in the city, then the other class of employees should not be required to live in the city. Therefore, guaranteed it will be a loser. This went to a lawsuit. Therefore, I'll be supporting this.
Okay, so last week I voted no. I'm going to vote again no this week. And this in no way is not supporting the unions, but it's going to be negotiated anyways, all right? So, and what I thought last week was, well, it's not fair to the unions to still have to negotiate it and have to wait, even though they're going to get it, because passing this would give administration immediate, the ability immediately to hire people without being residents. So There was some dialogue that took place during an executive session. All the i's and t's, they're not crossed and dotted yet, so until that happens, I'm going to remain a no. And I also brought up, like Mr. Schuster said, that, if Joey or Mary live in Scranton and they always, their lifelong dream is to be a firefighter or a police officer, and they live here and they're going to stay here, they should receive something in the way of points during the interview process or after they're scored when they go through their testing, that they should be able, should get ranked higher or preference because they want to live here, they want to work here, and so I was told in the back room that it's probably has to do with civil service, but I would still like to see that somewhere in this, because this is a big decision that every one of us here have to make, and it's going to impact the residents. And I know the mayor said that there's no financial impact, but that's just, and she has data. Well, that wasn't presented to us today that supports that. But so with that said, like I said, I'll remain a no until we get some more information next week.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved.
6B, reading by title, filed to Council Number 28, 2024, an ordinance removing the license and inspection requirements for commercial scales and gasoline service stations.
You've heard reading by title of item 6B. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6B pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, I did receive that answer. I reported it out in fifth that the state is going to be taking over our weights and measures, and that there's 60 days to terminate that MOA.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
6C, reading by title, filed to Council Number 29, 2024, an ordinance establishing responsible contractor standards, certifications, and related provisions for large public works contracts.
You have heard reading by title of item 6C. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6C pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, I would like to make a motion to amend item 6C as follows. Chapter 13, responsible contracting, 13-1, responsible contractor requirements. Under Section A, applicability, change a contract valued at $500,000 and above to a contract valued at $100,000 and above.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Mr. President,
Yes.
that was a vote on the amendment. You now have to vote the actual ordinance.
Okay. So that was the amendment. So we're going to vote on the ordinance now? Okay. So we don't have to reread it again. We'll just,
It would just be another voice vote, just on the ordinance itself.
Okay. So on the ordinance, any questions on the ordinance?
Mr. President, so everybody's aware, this vote now is for the amended ordinance, changing the dollar amount from $500,000 to $100,000. So you're clear.
Okay. So item 6C as amended. Okay. So title of item 6C as amended. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6C pass reading by title and as amended.
Second.
On the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
6D, reading by title, filed to Council Number 30, 2024, an ordinance amending procedural provisions of Chapter 428 taxation regarding the tax exemptions from real property tax for improvements to certain residential, commercial, and other business property to adjust application and exemption schedules.
You have heard reading by title of item 6D. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6D pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 69, 2024, reappointment of Bernard Bernie McGurl as a member of the Environmental Advisory Council for a 3-year term to expire on May 31st, 2027.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration on the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 70, 2024, reappointment of Harry McKay Jr. as a member of the Scranton Ethics Board for a 3-year term to expire on November 24th, 2027.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7B.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7B legally and lawfully adopted.
7C, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 71, 2024, reappointment of Augustine Gus Fahey as a member of the Scranton City Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire on December 31st, 2028.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
7D, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 72, 2024, reappointment of J. Conrad Bosley as a member of the Scranton Historical Architectural Review Board for a 5-year term to expire on October 11, 2029.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7D.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7D legally and lawfully adopted.
7E, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 73, 2024, reappointment of Jennifer Davis as a member of the Scranton City Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire on December 31st, 2028.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7E.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7E legally and lawfully adopted.
7F, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 74, 2024, reappointment of Jerry Weinberger as a member of the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority for a 5-year term to expire on December 31st, 2029.
As chairman for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7F.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7F legally and lawfully adopted.
7G, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 75, 2024, reappointment of David Fanoff as a member of the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority for a 5-year term to expire on December 31st, 2029.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7G.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7G legally and lawfully adopted.
7H, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 76, 2024, reappointment of Joseph Enton as a member of the Scranton City Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire on December 31st, 2028.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7H.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7H legally and lawfully adopted.
7I for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 77, 2024. Reappointment of Glynis Johns as a member of the Scranton Public Library Authority for a 4-year term to expire on October 1st, 2028.
As chairperson for Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7I.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7I legally and lawfully adopted.
7J for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 78, 2024. Ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth Financing Authority Multimodal Transportation Fund for up to $150,000 to be used towards the City of Scranton Preliminary Engineering Design Pinebrook Streetscape Project.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7J.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7J legally and lawfully adopted.
7K for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 79, 2024. Ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to the Automated Red Light Enforcement Transportation Enhancements Grant Program for up to $105,000 to be used towards bolstering safety in West Scranton.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7K.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7K legally and lawfully adopted.
7L for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 80, 2024. Reappointment of John Cowder as a member of the Scranton Public Library Authority for a 4-year term to expire on July 30th, 2028.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7L.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7L legally and lawfully adopted.
7M for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 81, 2024. Reappointment of Thomas McLean as a member of the Shade Tree Commission for a 5-year term to expire on October 11th, 2029.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7M.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7M legally and lawfully adopted.
7N for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 82, 2024. Appointment of Julie Schumacher Cohen as a member of the Scranton Housing Authority Board of Commissioners for a 5-year term to expire on September 27th, 2029.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7N.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, there's 17 appointments here tonight, most of which don't expire until at least November, December. 15 of these members are being reappointed and will return. Some of these members have even suggested how they should be placed on these boards and have been granted that. One resignation has occurred within 1 year of the member's term, which brings me to something I've said several times. We're replacing long-term members, long-time members of these boards with new individuals that stay for short periods of time. It's my opinion that Mr. Gallagher should not be removed from this board, and I will be voting no tonight for this appointment.
Okay, as I stated last week, whatever happened to rewarding dedication, devotion, hard work, and someone that wants to stay, they should be reappointed. I have nothing personal against Mrs. Schumacher, like I said, if Mr. Gallagher didn't want to remain, I'd vote for her. Simple. But, you know, a year ago it started. I was paying attention, and I'm still paying attention, that there's almost like a design takeover of the housing authority. If you look back and think what happened before, try to remove them early, a year early, then, oh, I don't know, maybe that was a mistake. Try to remove some other board members, a little tactical with and I don't know why. I mean, it's just another authority that does great work, but there's something going on here. Like I said, it's some type of something's happening. I'll keep my eye on it. But also, I'm still disgusted that he's not being reappointed. But even disgusts me more is there's a lot of rumors flying around town that there's even bragging about removing Mr. Gallagher. That disgusts me even more. I hope it's not true. I hope there's not a pattern of replacing older people only. I hope that's not the case, but that only even disgusts me more if it is true. So of course I'm voting no.
On the question, last year, when there was an attempt to remove Attorney Gallagher from this board, we went back and researched it and realized that he deserved another year because it would have been 8 5-year terms, and I fought for that and made sure that Attorney Gallagher got that 5th year. I'm not aware that a letter was submitted to the administration to continue in this position. I would say that if Attorney Gallagher's name was presented to us to serve in that position again, I would gladly vote for it.
Well, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to table.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to table and a second.
On the question, what's the purpose for tabling?
If a letter was to be submitted, his term is not up. It's not up until September 27th.
Okay, so do we know whether a letter was submitted?
The mayor I had asked the mayor if there was a letter submitted or if there was any interest shown by Magistrate Gallagher, and I was told no, there was no letter, nothing was submitted, and they haven't spoken in over 8 months.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to table as the term is not up until September 27th.
Okay, so we'll make,
I second that already.
Mr.
Yes.
President, you have a motion and a second.
so we'll do a roll call on tabling.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
No.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
No. So now we will go back to,
Now you return to the motion that was before you, which is the appointment of Julie Schumacher Cohen.
to appoint Julie Schumacher Cohen. So roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7N legally and lawfully adopted.
7-0 for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 83, 2024. Reappointment of Michael Salerno as a member of the Scranton Parking Authority for a 5-year term to expire on June 1st, 2029.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7O.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7O legally and lawfully adopted.
7P for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 84, 2024. Appointment of Dan Clarkson to the Housing Appeals Board to a term to expire November 30th, 2027.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7P.
Second?
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7P legally and lawfully adopted.
7Q for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 85, 2024. appointment of Melinda Crocus as a second alternate member of the Scranton Environmental Advisory Council to fill the unexpired term of Tara Jones, beginning immediately and expiring on May 31st, 2025.
As chairperson for Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7Q.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7Q legally and lawfully adopted.
7R for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 86, 2024, appointment of Daisy Corrado as a member of the Scranton Human Relations Commission to fill the unexpired 5-year term to expire on October 11th, 2024.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7R.
Second.
On the question? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7R legally and lawfully adopted.
7S for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 87, 2024, reappointment of Daisy Corrado as a member of the Scranton Human Relations Commission for a 5-year term to expire on October 11th, 2029.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7S.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, I just wanted to add for this member who was appointed to this position and then will be reappointed after the term is filled. This, I believe, was to fill Rebecca Barnes' position, Mother Barnes, and she was a committed member of the Scranton Human Relations Commission for quite a while. I was on there as well prior to my term on council and had served along with her, and she was a great advocate in our area, and she has since moved for a position at a church up in Buffalo. So I appreciate the service that she gave to the Human Relations Commission, and this is, she did serve quite a while in this position. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7S legally and lawfully adopted.
7T for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 88, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate officials of the City of Scranton to execute and enter into a collective bargaining agreement with the City of Scranton Clerical Workers and Local Lodge Number 2462, affiliated with the District 1 of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, AFL-CIO, in accordance with the terms and provisions of a memorandum of understanding with an effective date of January 1st, 2024, and ratified by the membership.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7T.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7T legally and lawfully adopted.
7U, previously tabled, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 61, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into an agreement with Woodland Design Associates, Inc., for city planning and zoning professional services.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7U.
Second.
On the question?
On the question, when this first came up, I did have several questions about this. As I got the answers to those questions, and I see the way that it's written, it seems that this is a consultant to help the city zoning officer complete their daily job function. So we do have a city planner, we do have an assistant city planner, we do have a zoning officer. Now we're adding a contractor. I will be voting no to this piece of legislation.
Okay, so this is another consultant. We have a bunch. We have too many. And none of them, or zero, has, they never fulfilled their promised revenue. We got an Osman group, all they do is make phone calls and pretend they latch onto some money that we get and claim victory. Rubicon, which should be gone, is in their third year. We were told $1 million savings first year, 0 savings. It was rolled out once 2 years ago in July for a week, and garbage laid everywhere. Then it was rolled out again the following year, same thing. We brought them in. They had most of their employees left. They had all new employees that came in here, and they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to roll it out in January." Never happened. Then they were supposed to roll it out in June. Never happened. It's a waste of money. Because all they provide was once in a while, they say, "Oh, we have tonnage tonnage data, which we can get free from the landfill." So now I'm hearing they're going to be rolled out not until September. So that's another consultant that we had to deal with. They just don't produce the promised revenues. And the zoning, they have just 3 people that work there, and they were part of crafting the new ordinance. So I don't think they need help understanding it. I don't think they need help working through it. This is just another example of, everybody gets an assistant, and it's got to stop. And every year written in the budget, oh, this one needs an assistant, this one needs an assistant. Parks and Directs guy got an assistant. Now we have to put it out to put lights up. Like every time we turn around, we're requested to approve another consultant. No, I think we need to hire the people. The residency waiver is going. We need to hire the right, because we're always claiming, well, we can't use the residency waiver because we can't get quality people out of 70,000. But guess what? We have to hire the right people with the skill set to do the job and not keep adding consultants and assistants to get them through their day. So I'm definitely voting no.
I'd like to say on top of that, the administration has come to us year after year, I think every year since they've been in place, for raises and salary increases to adjust for that problem that Mr. McAndrew just stated that we get time and time again. In order to get quality people, we have to increase the salaries. These things have been done over the years, and now we're adding another firm.
Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7U legally and lawfully adopted.
8th order, 8A, filed to council number 21, 2024.
This ordinance removes outdated floodplain management provisions of the city code. We are waiting for the approval from the administration before it is moved to 7th order for a final vote.
8B, resolution number 61, 2024.
This resolution was taken from the table this evening and placed in 7th order for a final vote.
8C, filed to council number 26, 2024.
This ordinance is the 2024 HUD Annual Action Plan. It is being tabled until a public hearing can be held Tuesday, July 30th of 2024. If there is no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned.